Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtuprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, today we're starting new chapter, chapter 38, Akrura's arrival in Vrindavan. Next one. Shri Shukavacha Akruro api chatamaratre madhupuryam mahamati ushitva ratham asthaya rayayo nandagokulam. Shukdev Goswami said, after passing the night in the city of Mathura, the high-minded Akrura mounted his chariot and set off for the cowherd village of Nanda Maharaj, or Nandagaon. King Kamsa ordered Akura to go to Vrindavan on the Ekadashi of the dark fortnight of the Vedic month of Falgun. After spending the night in Mathura, Akura left early the next day. That morning, Narad offered his prayers to Krishna in Vrindavan, and in the afternoon, the demon Vyoma was killed there. At dusk, Akrura entered the Lord's village. So now when we go, we can go from Mathura to Vrindavan by car in maybe half an hour. But that time he was going by the chariot, so it took him a long time. Gachan Pati Mahabhago Bhagavati Ambuje Kshane Bhaktim Baram Upagata Evam Etad Achintaya. As he traveled on the road, the great soul Akrura felt tremendous devotion for the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead. And thus he began to consider as follows. Kim maya charitam bhadram kim taktam paramam tapaha kim vatharpya harte dattam yadrakshami adya keshavam. Sri Akrura thought, what pious deeds have I done? What severe austerities undergone, and what charity given to a worthy recipient, so that today I will see Lord Keshav. Mama etad durlabham manya uttam shloka darshanam vishayatmano yatha brahma kirtanam shudra janmanaha. Since I am a materialistic person absorbed simply in sense gratification, I think it is as difficult for me to have gotten this opportunity to see Lord Uttam Shloka as it would be for one born a Shudra to be allowed to recite Vedic mantras. See, this should be the mood of everybody or anybody going to Vrindavan or anybody and coming in devotion service. That we should consider ourselves very fallen, very low. That only it's a mercy of Krishna or devotees that I am being engaged in this service. Otherwise, I have no qualifications. Akrurji is thinking, since I am a materialistic person absorbed simply in sense gratification, now a completely karmic person cannot even think of Krishna the way he's going to think. We'll study it later. But this is what his mood is. Meva mama dhamasyapi syadeva chutdarshanam priyamana kalanadya kvachit tarati kashana. But enough of such thoughts. After all, even a fallen soul like me can have the chance to behold the infallible Supreme Lord. For one of the conditioned souls being swept along in the river of time may sometimes reach the shore. Mamadya mangalam nashtam phalavascha me bhavaha yannamasya bhagavato yogi dheyan angri pankajam. Today all my sinful reactions have been eradicated and my mirth has become worthwhile, since I will offer my obeisances to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, which mystic yogis meditate upon. So this should be our mood whenever we go to temple or go to Vrindavan or go to any holy place, that I'll get a chance to offer for my obeisances to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. I'll get the chance, I'll have a chance to take darshan. कंसो बता व्याकृत में अति अनुग्रहम द्रक्ष्य अंघ्रि पद्मम प्रहितो अमुना ते कृतावतारस्य दुरत्ययं तमः पूर्वे अतरन् यन् खमण्डलत्विषा. Indeed, today King Kansa has shown me extreme mercy by sending me to see the lotus feet of Lord Hari, who has now appeared in this world. Simply by the effulgence of his toenails, many souls in the past have transcended the insurmountable darkness of material existence and achieved liberation. So just by seeing the effulgence of his toenail, because this is what yogis always meditate on. Akura noted how ironic it was that the envious demoniac Kansa had given him an extraordinary blessing by sending him to see the Supreme Lord Krishna. But he's so excited to go and see Krishna. Yadarchitam Brahma Bhavadibhi Surah Shriya cha Devya Munibhi Sasatpatah Gocharan Yanu Anucharash Charadvane Yad Gopikanam Kuch Kumkum Ankitam. Those lotus feet are worshipped by Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, by the goddess of fortune, and also by the great sages and Vaishnavas. Upon those lotus feet, the Lord walks about the forest while herding the cows with his companions. And those lotus feet are smeared with the kumkum from the gopis' breasts. So Akrura, although he was living in Mathura, but keeping all tracks of what Krishna is doing, means he must be having some people coming back and forth, giving him the news, giving him the messages. Drakshami nonam sukopola nasikam smitavalokaruna kanja lochanam mukham mukandasya godalakavritam pradakshinam me pracharanti vai mrigaha. Surely I shall see the face of Lord Mukunda, since the deer are now walking past me on my right. That face, framed by his curly hair, is beautified by his attractive cheeks and nose, his smiling glances, and his reddish lotus eyes. Akrura saw an auspicious omen, the passing of the deer on his right, and thus felt sure he would see the Supreme Lord Krishna. Api adya Vishnor manujatvam Bharavatārāya bhujo nijechaya lavanya dhamno bhavitopalambanam mayam nana syat phalam anjasa drisha. I am going to see the Supreme Lord Vishnu, the reservoir of all beauty, who by his own sweet will has now assumed a human-like form to relieve the earth of her burden. Thus, there is no denying that my eyes will achieve the perfection of their existence. This eagerness, or in Sanskrit is called lolyam, the greediness to take darshan of the Lord, this is what will purify us. Whenever we are doing any service or taking darshan of the Lord, going to the dham, we should be very, very greedy. Yes, this is what I'm going to see. Ya ikshita harantirahito api asatsato swatejasapah tatam mo bhidash brahmaha swamayayatman rachitah stadikshaya pranakshadhipi sadaneshva abhiyate. He is a witness of material cause and effect, yet he is always free from false identification with them. By his internal potency, he dispels the darkness of separation and confusion. The individual souls in this world who are manifested here, when he glances upon his material creative energy, indirectly perceive him in the activities of the life airs, senses, and intelligence. In this verse, Akrura establishes the all-powerful position of the Supreme Lord, whom he is about to see in Vrindavan. The false concept of separation from the Lord is described in the 11th canto. Although all existence emanates from the absolute truth, Krishna, we imagine a second thing, this material world, to be entirely separate from the Lord's existence. With this mentality, we try to exploit that second thing for our sense gratification. Thus, the psychological underpinning of material life is the illusion that this world is somehow separate from God and therefore meant for our enjoyment. And that is when it becomes material, because we want to enjoy. Our consciousness becomes material also. It is ironic that the impersonal philosophers in the radical renunciation of this world claim it to be utterly false and totally separate from the absolute. Unfortunately, this artificial attempt to divest this world of its divine nature, or in other words, its relation to God, does not lead people to utterly reject it, but rather try to enjoy it. While it is true that this world is temporary and thus in one sense free illusory, the mechanism of illusion is a spiritual potency of the Supreme Lord. Realizing this, we should immediately desist from any attempt to exploit this world. Rather, we should recognize it as God's energy. We'll actually give up our material desires only when we understand that this world belongs to God and is therefore not meant for our selfish sense gratification. But this is what Akrura had understood it completely. Akura states that the Lord is free of the egoistic pride afflicting ordinary embodied souls. Yet the Lord appears to be embodied like everyone else. And therefore someone might object to the statement that he is free of egoism. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on this puzzle as follows. How can we distinguish between being free of false ego and being afflicted by it? If a living entity is situated in a body, he will encounter the unhappiness and confusion that occur within it. Just as a person living in a house, whether he be attached to it or not, cannot avoid experiencing the darkness, warmth, and cold that occur within it. The objection is answered as follows. By his internal potency, the Lord dispels the darkness of ignorance, along with the separateness and bewilderment it produces. So Krishna is always on the transcendental platform. And by his internal potency, Yog Maya, he just removes any kind of ignorance. In fact, anybody who takes shelter of Krishna, his ignorance is gone. So how can we say Krishna, the Supreme Lord, can be under any ignorance? Yasya khilam meva habhi sumangala vacho vimishra gun karma janmati prananti shumanti punanti vai jagat yastad virakta shav shobhana mataha. All sins are destroyed and all good fortune is created by the Supreme Lord's qualities, activities, and appearances. And words that describe these three things animate, beautify, and purify the world. So his qualities, his activities, and his appearances. On the other hand, words bereft of his glories are like the decoration on a corpse, on a dead body. Srila Sridhar Swami brings up the following possible objection. How can one who is devoid of ordinary ego, who is fully self-satisfied, engage in pastimes? Answer is given here. Lord Krishna acts on the pure spiritual platform for the pleasure of his loving devotees, not for any kind of mundane gratification. And his pastimes, if we just talk of his pastimes, his qualities, it just purifies the person who's talking or who's hearing, who's talking. Everybody, it purifies. But other than that, if we talk about the material world, as it is said, is decorations on a dead body. they're worth nothing. Sachavatirna kil sattvatanve swasetu pala maruvarshaya varsha sharmakrit yasho vitanvan vraj asta ishvaro gayanti deva yadashesha mangalam. That same Supreme Lord has descended into the dynasty of the Sattvatas to delight the exalted demigods who maintain the principles of religion he has created. Residing in Vrindavan, he spreads his fame, which the demigods glorify in songs, and which brings auspiciousness to all. Tvam tvadya nunam mahtam gatim gurum trailokya kantam drishiman mahutsavam rupam dadhanam shriyaipsitaspadam drakshe mamasan nushas sudarshana. Today I shall certainly see him, the goal and spiritual master of the great souls. Seeing him brings jubilation to all who have eyes, for he is the true beauty of the universe. Indeed, his personal form is a shelter desired by the goddess of fortune. Now all the dawns of my life have become auspicious. So this is what Akrura is thinking. Athavarudha sapadishayo rathat pradhana punsoshcharanam swalabdhaye dhiya dhritam yoge bhir api aham dhruvam namasya abhyam cha sakhin vanokasaha. Thus I will at once alight from my chariot and bow down to the lotus feet of Krishna and Balarama, the supreme personalities of Godhead. Theirs are the same feet that great mystic yogis striving for self-realization bear within their minds. I'll also offer my obeisances to the Lord's cowherd boyfriends and to all the other residents of Vrindavan. So Akrura knew the position of Krishna, that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Api angri mule patitasya me vibhu shirasya dhasya nij hasta pankajam tatta bhayam kala bhujangara mahasa prodve jitanam sharanashnam nirnam. And when I have fallen at his feet, the Almighty Lord will place his lotus hand upon my head for those who seek shelter in him, because they are greatly disturbed by the powerful serpent of time. That hand removes all fear. See, the same hand, when it went into the mouth of Keshi, it killed him. And the same hand, when Krishna puts on the head of his devotees, it removes all fear from their hearts. It's just how we approach Krishna. Samarhanam yatra nidhaya koshikas tatha balishchapa jagatrendritam yadva vihare vrajayoshitam shramam sparshen sugandhika gandhya apanudat. By offering charity to the lotus hand, Purandar and Bali earned the status of Indra, king of heaven, and during the pleasure pastimes of the Ras dance, when the Lord wiped away the gopis' perspiration and removed their fatigue, the touch of their faces made that hand as fragrant as a sweet flower. The Puranas call the lotus found in Manasarovar like a Sogandhika. Lord Krishna's lotus hand acquired the fragrance of this flower by coming in contact with the beautiful faces of the gopis. This specific incident, which occurred during the Ras Leela, is described in 33rd chapter of 10th canto. And see, Akrura knew about this. Either it was he realized it, or he was given the information. Na mayu pashyati ati pashyati re buddhimachyutah kansasya duta prahitu api vishwadrik. Yondar bahishchetas etad hitam kshetragya ikshite malena chakshusha. The infallible Lord will not consider me an enemy, even though Kansa has sent me here as his messenger. After all, the omniscient Lord is the actual knower of the field and of this material body, and with this perfect vision, he witnesses both externally and internally all the endeavors of the conditioned soul's heart. So Akrura is thinking in his heart, I hope he will not consider me as his enemy because Kamsa has sent me as his messenger. He knows, Lord knows my heart. I want. Being omniscient, Lord Krishna knew that Akrura was only externally a friend of Kamsa. Internally, he was an eternal devotee of Lord Krishna. Api angri mule avahitam kritanjalim mamikshita sasmitartrya trisha sapadya padvasta samasta kilbisho boda mudam vita vishank urjitam. Thus he will cast a smiling, affectionate glance upon me as I remain fixed with joined palms, fallen in obeisances at his feet. Then all my contamination will at once be dispelled, and I'll give up all doubts and feel the most intense bliss. In fact, he was in bliss just thinking about what will happen when he meets Krishna. Suhritamam gyatim ananya devatam dorbhyam paripapsiyet at mam atma hi tirthi kriyate tadeva me bandhasya karmatmaka uchchavasyata. Recognizing me as an intimate friend and relative, Krishna will embrace me with his mighty arms, instantly sanctifying my body and diminishing to nil all my material bondage, which is due to fruitive activities. Labdvang sangam pranatam kritanjalim maam vakshate akrura tateti urushrava tada vayam janma bhrito mahiyasa nevadrito yodhikmushya janmatat. Having been embraced by the all-famous Lord Krishna, I will humbly stand before him with bowed head and joined palms, and he will address me, my dear Akrura. At that very moment, my life's purpose will be fulfilled. Indeed, the life of anyone whom the Supreme Personality fails to recognize is simply pitiable. So this is what our mood should be. We should serve Krishna in such a way that Krishna comes and recognizes and says, who is this servant? Instead of us trying to see him, we serve him, that he wants to see us. Na tasya kasyid daita suhritamo, na cha priyo dveshya peksha evava, tatha vibhaktan bhajate yatha tatha, srudramo yadvad upashito artadaha. The Supreme Lord has no favorite and no dearmost friend, nor does he consider anyone undesirable, despicable, or fit to be neglected. All the same, he lovingly reciprocates with his devotees in whatever manner they worship him, just as the trees of heaven fulfill the desires of whoever approaches them. The Lord says something similar in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I envy no one, nor am partial to anyone. I'm equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend and is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya was as hard as thunderbolt for those who envied him, and as soft as a rose for those who understood his divine mission. So Akrura is thinking, Krishna will just treat me properly. Kim chagrajo mavanatam yadutamaha smayan parishvajya grihitam anjalo griham praveshyapta samasta satkritam samprakshate kansakritam swabandhushu. And then Lord Krishna's elder brother, the foremost of the Yadus, will grasp my joined hands while I am still standing with my head bowed, and after embracing me, he will take me to his house. There he will honor me with all items of ritual welcome and inquire from me how Kamsa has been treating his family members. Shri Shukavacha, iti sanchintayan Krishnam Falka Tanayo Adhvani Rathena Gokulam Praptaha Surya Shasti Girim Nripa. Shukdev Goswami continued, my dear king, while the son of Shwafalka, traveling on the road, thus meditated deeply on Shri Krishna, he reached Gokul as the sun was beginning to set. Srila Sridhar Swami comments that although Akrura did not even notice the road, being deeply absorbed in meditation on Lord Krishna, he still reached Gokul on his chariot. Padani tasya khila lokapala kirita jushtamala padareno dadarsha goshte kshitikottukani vilakshitanya abjaya kushadya. In the cowherd pasture, Akrura saw the footprints of those feet whose pure dust the rulers of all the planets in the universe hold on their crowns. Those footprints of the Lord, distinguished by such marks as a lotus, barleycorn, and elephant goat, made the ground wonderfully beautiful. Taddarshana vivriddha sambrama premno dharom roma shru kala kulekshana rathadava skandya sateshva cheshtat prabhor munyangri rajasayo iti. Increasingly agitated by ecstasy at seeing the Lord's footprints, his barley hairs standing on end because of his pure love, and his eyes filled with tears, Akrura jumped down from his chariot and began rolling about among those footprints, exclaiming, "Ah, this is the dust from my master's feet." See the ecstasy he's feeling. See his devotion. All we can pray to Akruraji, please give us even a little percentage of that devotion to Krishna. Okay, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.